We're here with Captain John Ceriello from the FDNY. John was a participant yesterday in the research, and also Dan Cellfrank, a firefighter in the FDNY as well. Both of these guys participated yesterday. They didn't do the live burn in the burn facility here. They were part of the container training that happened yesterday. So, John, I just wanted to ask you a little bit, as a participant, what was it like? What did you do, and what was the experience like?
Well, they basically set up the Connex boxes to be, like a one-story, let's say, private dwelling. You had a truck operation and an engine operation. We were in the truck operation. They had us respond in with the rigs, trying to get some of the actual components of responding to a real fire in your district. Try to get some of the physiological effects ramped up a little bit with the siren going and things of that nature. And then they had, Dan and I had to force a door. It was a prop. But they, again, wanted to get you working as if you were working on the fire ground. Once that was completed, then you made entry into the building, and they wanted to hear radio transmissions. They wanted to hear everything you would normally do on a fire ground in New York City applied to this building. Engine talking to the truck and vice versa, find the fire, try to contain the fire, and then once we got water on the fire, we'd start our search operations and whatnot. Some of that went pretty well, some of it not so well. What I will say is, no doubt, they've got a real good fuel package inside. It was zero visibility, down to the ground. Again, something very similar to what we would encounter on a job. For me, the one challenge was we didn't have a thermal imaging camera, which certainly could help you in that atmosphere. But at one point, it got, let's just say, it got a little warm in there. So I think, all the effects that they wanted to get onto the operating personnel, they hit their marks. They were right on.
Okay, Dan, your thoughts?
It was the way they had the whole thing set up was, as Catherine was saying, very similar to a regular building fire you're going to respond to on a regular basis. Going through the motions and as far as elevating the heart rate and for the cardiovascular aspect of the study was very appropriate, and all of our numbers were similarly elevated, and it was all in all it was a very true to life scenario, and along with the humidity and heat really added to it quite a bit.
Dan, from your perspective, why do you want to be involved in this research? I'm assuming this is your first time being involved in a project like this?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Just the way the culture of the fire service is it's one built on a lot of years of ingrained ideas, and this is an opportunity to really kind of adapt with technology and move forward. So much else of what we do in our careers and our vocations has increased with technology and materials and equipment and everything, and then this seems to be almost on the back burner. And then with all the prevalence of cancer, especially within the New York City Fire Department, I think the cancer has really come to the forefront as a fallout of the September 11th. The members are suffering from that. So it's really come to the forefront, and all of this ties together, and it's helping to raise the awareness and hopefully make some progress.
Super. Well, John, you've been involved with UL on an advisory panel, so you've been part of a lot of this research. For you, why is it important, to be a direct participant? I think that's a new role for you to play.
Sure.
Why is it important for you to be a participant, and where do you see this going within your own organization, or I should say, where do you hope that it's going to go?
So when I learned of what they had done last summer in regards to this, using actual modern synthetics in the burn buildings and seeing what the exposure was, I was, keenly interested right off the bat. When I came to learn that they're doing a phase 2 and we're looking at the training aspect of the training fire and what toxic exposure, we're going to be implemented there, I told Gavin, please, if you can, leave 2 spots for us. I'll work it out with our staff on how we'll get out here and things of that nature. But for me, what I've always found was no matter what the research is, when you're part of it, you're going to learn nuggets of information and the finer details that you can bring back to your department direct. It's not, through a website or through a periodical or whatever. It's going to be direct. And so that I thought was extremely important for us. And as Dan said, cancer is affecting our members to a great degree. And we think we know why, but I don't think we have all the answers. And this can only enhance the capability of understanding, which I know rule number one of our department is protecting its members. You know, on the fire ground, at home, you know, and everything in between. And if there's just even a little bit of knowledge we can gain from this, so that we can do something that can hopefully lower that chance of cancer, then I'm in. Now, what I find really interesting is nowhere in any of this is it suggesting that we're not going into burning buildings. Right. Burning buildings have, no matter what's on fire in there, is going to be a toxic brew of chemicals. And you know, depending on how we're geared up with our PPE, it's going to be varying degrees of taking that in. But we're learning that there are simple things we can do as soon as possible to mitigate that percentage. And that's where I think the value of all this will be. And getting it direct, I think, is extremely important.
Super. Dan, any takeaway points for you that you're going to walk away from here and maybe create some change amongst yourself?
I think one of the most things that have been was most impressed upon me throughout all this was the quality of the research and the in-depth aspects of the research with underwriters as well as NIOSH and what the Illinois State is doing here. It's unbelievable as far as the depth of the research and trying to see what effects the fire has on us. And a lot of it really goes into just the cardiovascular health. It's to actually see quantified the numbers of the heart rates and the blood pressures and the core temperatures and the other things that a simple fire is having, like, affecting our bodies. I think cardiovascularly is a big one, as well as the trying to just wash the contaminants off and maintain as clean a person as possible.
Super. Well, John and Dan, I appreciate both of you, first of all, being a participant and contributing to the research and certainly what you're doing for the fire service. And I think when you look at this, two guys from FDNY, certainly not a small department, just represents who's involved in this and the importance of what we're doing. We talked to some international guests earlier. Now we've got the largest fire department in the United States as a direct participant. We also had some folks from Boston participating in it. So the message is out there, the opportunities are out there for you to get involved, and I'd encourage you to follow this research as well as the other research projects that are ongoing.